what are the odds that we're going to see Emperor Palpatine at some point in this season or next season? Do you think we're going to get a cameo hologram or not?
3,720 to 1.
Yes, it's a good odds. I'll take those odds. I would think that or 725 to 1, which is more the surviving out in Hoth. What about you, Frank?
No, I think it's 100%. I'm just going to give an actual number.
Yeah. Never tell me the odds.
I think it's
the original name of the podcast. That's why I gave that number. I
think what we're going to see is actually here. We're going to see Palpatine, but just from like the back of his head.
Oh, okay.
And you're not going to see the front, and you're going to probably hear some speech over like the holonet, whatever, kind of like how Cyril was getting the news in that apartment. You probably get something like that. You'll absolutely see Mon Mothma in the Senate for this session, right? You have to. So,
but I don't think Palpatine actually presides over the Senate anymore. That's the thing.
No. But
I think he's above the Senate.
So pissed off about what happened that in order for the Empire to demonstrate strength, how serious they are about this, and all these basically laws and heightened.
Because I was under the impression that he doesn't make public appearances anymore.
The show could demonstrate differently.
Sure, they could demonstrate different, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, it kind of comes down to like, it's similar to the speech he makes after Revenge of the Sith, where he's like, "The attempt on my life has left me scarred
and deformed. But my resolve has never been stronger."
Thank you.
You think you're going to see him?
Yeah,
it's high. It's very high.
There you go.
So I'm low. Kevin, you gave
50-50.
You're 50-50.
I'm 100%.
Yeah, I'm low. I'm low. For this season, I'm 0.
Hopeful. But
For this season, I'm 0. Next season, I think there's a chance. But I don't know. I don't think the show needs it, and I think that this show has done a really good job of like not needing to rely on that sort of storytelling. Where the other shows have been like, oh, hey, here's this big character. This show's done a really good job of not doing that at all. So
if he does show up, will Oscar Isaac say somehow Palpatine is
yes.
But he walks right into frame.
I think you're right that if we do see him, we'll see him from behind.
They said his name 3 times in this episode.
Sure,
and so
I mean,
it's like,
he is
why?
Still,
why? I mean, like, you don't have to.
He is still the Emperor, right? I mean, when it comes down to it, it's an empire. He's the Emperor, right? He is, we joke about the line, "I am the Senate," but essentially, right? Like, that is true. I mean, he is the Empire at this point.
If he's the Senate, he was really throwing himself at Yoda in episode 3, which is, it's just really inappropriate.
Well,
for a politician.
I do think that if we see him, it'll be from behind or something. But him showing up in front of the Senate is sort of acknowledging that the Senate matters, right? So now, do I think that maybe he gives an address or something? Sure, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting that if by them naming him or saying his name, 3 times in this episode, I do feel like they are setting up his little brief cameo, if you want to call it that. I do think that the show actually does need it because this show is demonstrating the power of the Empire, and that power comes from Palpatine and everything that he's instilled and has allowed to happen, and how he manipulates the Senate. And I think, furthermore, with Palpatine showing up in the Senate is going to demonstrate on a much more visceral level, while Mothma's there, how much in control he is of the Senate. He's going to demonstrate to everybody else who's kind of who's dissenting, i.e. Mon Mothma, how hopeless it is to even try and go up against the Empire, i.e. the Emperor. And I think that's even going to further drive Mon Mothma's tenacity or resolve to do more than what she's starting to do. And we'll get into her whole storyline in this episode. But moving past whether or not we're going to see the Emperor or not,
I don't know. I have more thoughts on this, legitimately.
Okay,
I legitimately do.
Yeah, go for it. Then.
Right. So I want to stand by what I said. I don't think that he is making public appearances. I don't think that he is showing himself. Right. I mean, sure, we know that the attempt on my life has left me scarred. He was very open and honest about that. But the title, when we go back to like George's vision for everything, the title, The Phantom Menace, that is about the Emperor, not about Maul.
Actually,
Right.
it was about Jar Jar Binks when Jar Jar was originally
Oh, right,
Sith
'cause,
Lord
yeah.
in episode 2,
Right.
and then he abandoned that when
But
everybody
but
hit
in all
Jar Jar.
in all
That's for another
serious-
episode.
In all seriousness, right? Like the Emperor he doesn't need to lead from the front anymore. He has people to do that. He has a faceless army of stormtroopers to do his bidding. He has these massive war machines in the Star Destroyers, right? The whole point by removing a front face from the Emperor, it no longer it dehumanizes it in a way that makes it this is a force. This is not something that we can change or rebel against.
It's
If you have a single man at the head, now you know, well, that they're right. Like, if you have a face for the Emperor,
I think it's
and
interesting.
especially a weak, frail face, which is the face that he currently has. We do know that he has made some addresses, but when he does that, the way I'm understanding the question, right, is are we going to see the Sheev Palpatine, right?
Yeah.
We know that he's made some hollow addresses, but not using his actual face, using an older version of his face sort of mapped on there.
What's that from?
So, it's
The
mentioned somewhere in the book, I think. I'm not sure.
The book, the Bible.
In the book. In the book.
The book of the Bible.
The Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's but
So the Journal of the Wills.
yeah, I mean you brought up something that like for some reason have really
Well, I mean,
strong
the only thing I just
opinions
want to
on.
say real quick to counter that is it's an odd way to display and demonstrate your power by not being visible.
Yeah, there's
Well,
It's a weird-
because he has symbols of power in place. The Death Star, the Stormtroopers, Star Destroyers.
Sure.
Right?
there
but-
are two thoughts to this.
Yeah.
A New Hope, you didn't need him. You heard about him, but he wasn't really, even back then when George writing it, like, you know, he was. We weren't going to see him till the next one anyway, and really till the third one, Return of the Jedi. So you could mention him. A New Hope, you hear about the Emperor, it keeps it mystery. But since we know who the Emperor is, and these name drops, you kind of want to see him, right? Or you don't, but I mean, maybe the audience does.
I mean, I don't
One
care-
thing though, for
I don't
sure,
care
what
if
you
we
say
do
is
see
a
him.
visceral a way to see it, to where he literally comes up and he, like you said, it's like basically like shows up to the Senate, like reminds everybody like who the fuck he is,
Right.
You know what I mean? And just to really give
Because that's
Mon Mothma
there's
that feeling
power
of powerlessness.
in showing up
Turns good
when like you're setting there's a pattern of like I only show up when shit's real. Like,
But
I'm not just showing up to be like,
here's-
would you guys vote on, are we getting a raise this year? He's not showing up for that crap. He's showing up for the part where he needs to impose power and strength and the will of the Empire. That's the only time he's got to show up, which I think is going to be one of these
But
times.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. Him showing up to the Senate, in my opinion, makes him.
Look worried.
Well, no, it's him attributing some amount of worth to the Senate that I don't think he attributes to the Senate at this point, which is why he dissolves the Senate 5 years from now, right?
Because of the Death Star. He doesn't have the Death Star
Yeah,
yet.
You're right.
Look,
You're right.
I never said
but-
we're going to see him again just in the Senate. Maybe he can do a hologram recording from his palatial palace.
Sure, I do
Is that a
think
word? Palatial.
Palatial, yes, but
Yeah, I'll allow it.
but you
Palatial.
essentially just said palace-like palace.
Scoundrel. Scoundrel. I like the sound of that.